Now that we have our artboards established, let's place some images. Now, there are multiple ways that you can bring an image into a Photoshop file. If you already have an image open in another tab, you can jump a layer directly into your other Photoshop file, and if that layer that you want to jump is not a locked background layer, then you can jump it straight to a specific artboard. Now, let's click the lock icon here on this background layer to convert this into a regular layer. Then we'll Option or Alt drag that layer down onto the new layer page icon to duplicate it. We can rename the layer. We'll call this Coral. Then for destination, we can tell Photoshop to send it directly to our banner template.psd file. Photoshop then reads the listing of all the artboards, and it gives us a listing of all of those right here. Let's send this to our 1200 by 600 artboard and click OK. Now when we jump back to our banner template, I'll press Command 0 to recenter the image. Our image has been placed on the correct artboard, and you can see its layer is here in the correct place in our Layers panel. If you now hold down Option or Alt and then drag that image layer to one of the other artboards, you'll duplicate that layer to the other artboard here. Then let's scale this image to fit by pressing Command or Control T on your keyboard to access the Quick Transform tool, then hold down the Shift key on your keyboard and uniformly scale the image, and then reposition it to find a pleasing layout. Then hit Enter or Return to lock in that change. Now the problem with this process is that both of these images are now completely independent from each other. So if you were to grab your paintbrush tool and then paint on top of one of the images, that's it. You've just modified this one image, not both images. So that's not exactly what we want. So let's throw this image layer away out of this artboard. And then let's convert this image to what's called a smart object by right or control clicking on the layer, not on the icon, but the layer itself, and then selecting Convert to Smart Object. Now it doesn't look like much has changed, except for now we have this small icon here in the lower right of the layers icon. Now let's Option or Alt drag that Smart Object layer down to one of the other artboards, and we'll once again transform it by pressing Command or Control T. We'll grab the corner, holding Shift, and drag that down and reposition it to find our layout. Then hit Enter or Return to lock in the transformation. Now this time, to edit the image, just double-click on either of the icons for either of the smart objects. The first time you do this, you'll get a warning popping up letting you know that you're about to edit a smart object. You can choose to not show this warning again and click OK. This smart object is now opened up as a new image tab here inside of Photoshop, and we can edit the file by simply adding a new layer to the document. And with our paintbrush tool, let's go ahead and paint some squiggles right over the top of this image. Then when you close the layer, Photoshop will prompt you to save your changes. Go ahead and save the file, and you're brought back to your template. This time, notice that the image on both artboards has been updated with the squiggles. As smart objects essentially put a protective wrapper around an object so you can make modifications to the smart object as we did with the transformation on this artboard. And that happens independently of the content layer that's protected inside of the smart object wrapper. You can then edit the contents of any smart object by double-clicking its layer icon. This time, let's just throw the squiggle layer away. And then when you close and save the changes, the underlying object contained within the smart object is updated everywhere that this smart object is appearing in your document. Now, before we go on to the next movie, Option or Alt drag this smart object to the other artboards, and then use the free transform command on each of the new smart objects to find a pleasing layout for each artboard. Then in the next movie, we'll add some text.